It was 2 days before Christmas. Many children were expected on the island of Sodor. All the engines were busy with the final preparations. Sir Topham Hatt wanted this year's carol party to be an extra special celebration. Sir Topham Hatt was now waiting impatiently for Thomas. "Quickly now," he said. "Our Christmas tree has arrived just in time. I want you to fetch it, Thomas. Duck can look after Annie and Clarabelle until you get back." "Will we be able to sing carols too?" asked Thomas. "We'll see," promised Sir Topham Hatt. "It would be nice to sing carols again," sighed Thomas as he set off on his important mission. Thomas collected the tree safely, but large snowdrifts lay ahead. "I mustn't be late," he thought. "Sir Topham Hatt is relying on me." Whistling bravely, Thomas tried to move, but he couldn't. There was worse to come. Thomas was snowed under. Meanwhile, the other engines waited and waited. They were grumbling about Thomas for being late. "Silence," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Thomas left the work safely, but snow has brought the telephone lines down. We must assume he is stranded." The engines now felt sorry for Thomas, and cold but confident, the twins set off to the rescue. Suddenly, they came to a drift that was deeper than the rest. "Help!" "Hush," said Donald. "I can hear something." "Probably the wind," said Douglas. "Help!" "No, listen," insisted Donald. "Over here!" "Oh, it's Thomas. Come on, the poor wee engine must be frozen to the frames in there." When the workmen arrived, it took some time to decide how to dig away the heavy drifts of snow. Thomas's driver and fireman, who had taken shelter at a nearby cottage, joined the rescue. At last, Thomas and the precious Christmas tree were freed from the snowdrift. Then they set off once more to finish their long journey. Sir Topham Hatt greeted them warmly. "As a reward for all your hard work, you may go and enjoy the carols. Be quick now." At the big station, all was soon ready. 1, 2, 3! Suddenly, like magic, the station was flooded with lights. "Ladies and gentlemen and children, I give you 3 cheers for Thomas the Tank Engine and all his friends who have made this occasion possible." Then there was a familiar whirring sound. Percy and Toby smiled. They knew who it was. With landing lights shining brightly, Harold the helicopter touched down gently in the snow. Bringing the greatest surprise of all, Santa Claus. Everyone cheered and the party began. "It's no fun getting stuck in the snow," whispered Thomas to Percy, "but it was worth it for this party. Happy holiday, Percy. Happy holiday, everyone."
Spamcan seemed to return to Sodor far too often for his own liking, or anyone else's. On a late winter afternoon, he delivered a goods train from the other railway. He went to rest at the sheds. A chorus of groans sounded upon his arrival. I am thoroughly bewildered, he moaned dramatically, as to why I'm forced onto your metals time and again. It's practically magnetism. I suppose it must be nice for your railway to be graced by modernity. I'd say you're lucky I'm here. We'd be lucky if you weren't, sneered Gordon. We get on just fine without you around. Well, that's up for debate, glared Spamcan. Never mind that I can do double your work in a fraction of the time. But I've brought precious sand to get you through this cold spell. Not that I care for the stuff. We diesels never lose our grip on the rails, but whatever keeps you kettles boiling. You've brought the sand, have you? Sir Topham Hatt stood close by. Why, yes, sir, replied Spamcan with false sincerity. Anything to keep your fine railway running. And where, pray tell, is it? Come again, sir? The Sand 199. As you're so certain of its whereabouts, perhaps you could explain why it's not with the rest of your train. I'll tell you, interrupted Sir Topham Hatt. It seems you kicked up such a fuss about having to come to my fine railway that you left before the last trucks could be coupled to your train. What do you suppose they contained? Oh dear, blushed Spamcan. I would suggest you make yourself comfortable, continued Sir Topham Hatt. Due to bridge work, you won't be going home tonight. You can help with the goods traffic tomorrow. At least then you can be somewhat useful. Good day to you. The engines chuckled in delight. Except Edward. I'm worried, he sighed. Driver says a hard frost is coming tonight, and my sandboxes are rather low. Humph! Pouted Spamcan. Modern engines aren't concerned with such trivial matters. Sand indeed. Is this a railway or a playground? Just stand aside and let me handle things, old-timer. The other engines hissed, but Edward stayed silent. The next day, Edward collected his passengers. His driver was right. Frost coated the rails, and he'd witnessed the other engines wheel slipping all morning. Right, Edward thought as the guard's whistle blew. Nice and steady. We'll be all right. Edward puffed steadily along, dropping sand if he felt he had no grip. Thankfully, the morning sun helped melt the frost. That's good, he smiled. But the sun was no use in the tunnel. It was dark and frigid, and the frost clung hard to the rails. As Edward steamed through, his wheels slipped, and the coaches dragged him to a snail's pace. Come on, he groaned. He tried to drop more sand, but his sandboxes were depleted. Go on, Edward, called the driver. You're nearly there. Then there was trouble. Edward was puffing so hard, his smoke began to fill the tunnel. The driver and fireman covered their noses with their jackets. Nearly there, huffed Edward. With one final effort, he burst into the daylight, and his wheels found their grip once more. Brilliant, old boy, well done, cheered his crew. From the opposite direction, Spamcan came trudging along with his goods. Looking a little worse for wear, eh, old iron? He chortled with delight. Oh dear, Edward thought. He won't like my smoke in the tunnel. He didn't. What's going on? He coughed, shutting his eyes. Oh, help! Oh, fire! Oh, I'm too reliable to go up in flames. He was too startled to notice the frosty rails, and the heavy train had dragged him to a complete standstill. The guard ran back to the last station. Edward was resting when the guard arrived and asked for help. "I'm sorry, sir," sighed Edward, "but I've got no sand left. A train like that would be too much for me without it." "That wretched diesel is nothing but bad luck," hissed Gordon. "Is this a railway or a playground? He's certainly treating it like the latter." "That's it!" cried Edward. "Gordon, you're brilliant!" He turned to his driver. "There's a school near the station, and their playground has plenty of sand. I'm sure we could borrow some given the situation." The driver, fireman, and guard wasted no time. They trudged over to the school, filled buckets with sand, and when they'd returned, Edward's sandboxes were full once more. "Off we go," he whistled determinedly. By now, the smoke had cleared from the tunnel. Spamcan hadn't noticed. His eyes were shut tight, and he continued to shudder and whinge as his wheels spun. "All these years of service, only for it to end on this rotten island. It's curtains for me. Tell my fitter I made it out of the tunnel in the end." Spamcan cracked open one eye. There was Edward, buffering up in front. Spamcan eyed the smoke wafting from his funnel and realized at once what happened. Oh my. Perhaps I got a bit caught up in all the excitement. Well, let's get you moving so the others can get caught up. You've delayed them with all this running on the spot. Slowly and carefully, Edward pulled Spamcan and the train free of the tunnel. The sand did the trick, and he had no trouble with the icy rails. When they reached the station, Edward chuckled. "Not too shabby for an old iron, wouldn't you say?" Spamcan didn't say. He left later that day, much to the delight of the others. It was strange then when he returned the following morning with only a few trucks. "Finally brought that sand you steamers were clamouring for," he muttered, trying not to make eye contact. Edward noticed one of the trucks was still coupled as Spamcan moved off. "I say, keeping some for yourself?" "Your fat controller says I'm to take it to the schoolyard as repayment. Such work is beneath me," he growled. "I'm sure the children will be pleased," Edward smiled. "And you can use some of it yourself if you slip again. I'm sure you wouldn't mind that beneath you, eh?" Spamcan's only reply was a disgruntled honk.
It was a cold winter's morning on the island of Sodor. The wind was bitter and the ground hard with frost. Thomas and Percy were cold and cross. "All I want is a warm boiler," huffed Thomas. "Firelighter knows that. He's late." "He's not late," replied Percy. "This weather woke us up early." Gusts of wind swirled round the shed, tossing flakes of snow toward Thomas. Then they swooshed round Percy, too. "Why don't we talk about something else?" shivered Percy. "Yes," replied Thomas, "like how silly we'll look when our funnels turn into icicles." "That's not funny. Maybe we'll stop feeling cold if we talk about warm things, like sunshine and steam." "And firelighters," muttered Thomas. "Scarves," continued Percy. "Scarves? laughed Thomas. "That's what you need, Percy, a woolly scarf round your funnel." Thomas was only teasing, but Percy thought happily about scarves until the firelighter came. Sir Topham Hatt was enjoying hot porridge for breakfast. He was looking forward to taking important visitors on a tour of the railway and had pressed his special trousers. "I shall put them in my trunk," Sir Topham Hatt said to his wife, "and change into them just before the photographs are taken." Then he set off to catch his train. Percy was now working hard. His fire was burning nicely, and he had plenty of steam, but he still thought about scarves. He saw them everywhere he went. "My funnel's cold," he puffed. "I want a scarf, I want a scarf." "Rubbish, Percy," said Henry. "Engines don't wear scarves. Engines with proper funnels do," replied Percy. "You've only got a small one." Before Henry could answer, Percy puffed away. Henry snorted. He was looking forward to pulling the special train. It was time for the photographs. Everyone was excited. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting on the platform for his trousers. They were in a trunk amongst a big load of baggage. The porters were taking the baggage trolley across the line. They were walking backwards to see that nothing fell off. Percy was still being cheeky. His driver always shut off steam just outside the station. Percy wanted to surprise the coaches by coming in as quietly as he could. But the porters didn't hear him either. Percy gave them such a fright that boxes and bags burst everywhere. "Oh!" groaned Percy. Sticky streams of jam trickled down Percy's face. A top hat hung on his lamp iron. Worst of all, a pair of trousers coiled lovingly around his funnel. Everyone was very angry. Sir Topham Hatt seized the top hat. "Mine," he said. "Percy, look at this." "Yes, sir. I am, sir." "My best trousers, too." "Yes, sir. Please, sir." "We must pay the passengers for their spoiled clothes, and my trousers are ruined. I hope this will teach you not to play tricks with the coaches." Percy went off to the yard. He felt very silly. On the way, he met James. "Hello, Percy. So you found a scarf, eh? But legs go in trousers, not funnels." And he puffed away to tell Henry the news. That evening, Thomas and Percy were resting in the shed. Percy's driver had taken away the trousers and given Percy a good rub-down. "Firelighters promised to come early tomorrow," said Thomas. Henry arrived. He'd enjoyed taking the visitors around and now felt sorry for Percy, too. "Driver says the weather will be warmer tomorrow. You won't need a scarf, Percy." "Certainly not," replied Percy. "Engines don't need scarves. Engines need warm boilers. Everyone knows that."
Winter on the island of Sodor can be windy and cold. When the cold wind blows, the engines can't wait to get back to the snug warmth of Tidmouth sheds. "Bitter cold, bitter cold, bitter cold," chuffed Toby. "Still, I'll soon be back in my nice dry shed." But suddenly, Toby's driver applied the brakes. He could see a farmer standing knee-deep in snow. He was waving a red flag. "My phone lines are down. All the roads are blocked. And my sheep have just started lambing," the farmer said. "They're trapped on the hillsides, cut off by the snow." "What can we do to help?" Toby chuffed. "I need a vet as quickly as possible." "We'll stop at the next signal box," said Toby's driver. "I'll phone the vet from there." Toby raced to the signal box, and the driver phoned ahead to the station. Sir Topham Hatt and the vet were waiting for Toby as he arrived. The farmer's lambs are stranded on the hillside, cried Toby. We've got to rescue them. So we shall, said Sir Topham Hatt. I'll send Duck right away. This is a job for an engine with a snowplow. Toby knew Duck was the right engine for the job. He was very powerful. Hurry, Toby called anxiously as Duck chuffed out of the station. But so much snow had fallen, the tracks ahead were blocked. We can't go on, said Duck's driver grimly. We'll have to go back. Toby was surprised to see Duck return to the station. I tried my hardest, puffed Duck, but the weather's getting worse. Even Duck's snowplow can't get through, said his driver. Then Toby had an idea. My old branch line runs out there, sir. Remember? It's far too dangerous, said Sir Topham Hatt. It would never carry Duck's weight. It might take my weight, said Toby. And I know that line like the back of my buffers, he added. It's our only chance to help the lambs. Sir Topham Hatt agreed, but he told Toby to be very careful. Soon, a blizzard was howling. Toby's driver was worried. I can do it, called Toby, as long as these rails hold. But Toby had forgotten about the rickety old bridge. Help! My wheels are wobbling, he cried. His driver fought for control as Toby struggled on. I've got to reach the other side of this bridge, gasped Toby. Those lambs need me. The farmer was waiting. It was very cold. Suddenly, a ghostly glowing eye shone through the snowstorm. It was Toby's headlamp. You made it, cried the farmer. What a brave engine you are. The vet and the farmer went to find the lambs. But they soon returned. The lambs are safe and sound, Toby, said the vet. But we need a place now to keep the little ones warm. Toby smiled. I think you'll find Henrietta has plenty of room. Toby stayed for several days, just to make sure the lambs were all right. The farmer was very grateful. Thank you, Toby, he said. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, said Toby. There's nothing I like better than helping out a friend in need.
One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the Flying Kipper. Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the Kipper nicely, Sir Topham Hatt will let us pull the Express. The special coal they gave you is working well." "Hooray!" cried Henry. "That will be lovely." All kinds of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, cargo ships, and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading up the crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp, and the Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the freight cars. The cars shuddered and groaned. Trickety-trock, all right. That's better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. Hurry, panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal lights shone green as they passed. Then, a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the switches from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A freight train was waiting in the siding to let the flying kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the caboose. "The kipper is due," said the conductor. "Who cares?" said the fireman. "This is good cocoa." The driver got up. "Come on, fireman, back to our engine." They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry. "Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine, and you won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry, doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Thank you very much." I'm sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story.
The winter holidays have come to the island of Sodor, and all the engines were excited for the festival activities. Even Diesel.
Thank you, Diesel. If it's alright, can you take this train down to Knapford Harbor?
Sure thing, Toby. But why do you have to leave so suddenly?
Well, it's because me and Thomas are taking gifts to Croc. I think I gotta go now, Diesel.
Okay. Alright, I'm here. Well, he never said what siding.
Oh, it's 9.
Thanks, Duck.
Oh, I guess no smoke remark this time.
No, because I've actually changed, Ducky.
Ah, there it is.
Oh, Lord.
What? They sound like new engines.
Duck, whatever they say, do not listen.
Eh?
Is that you, Rudolph?
We haven't seen you in ages.
Duck, are there any places I could chuck myself into the sea?
What, you fancying going on a cruise? You know, Florida's nice this year round.
Ah.
It is you, Rudolph.
Hey, Rudolph, you say?
Ah.
Say, why don't you tell me more about this, Rudolph fella?
Oh, as an experiment, they put tequila in his tanks to see if he would run better. Long story short, it didn't go so well.
Please shut up.
Why not? Wait, don't tell me you still go by Diesel.
Why are you guys here?
We're here to help you with the coal trains, Rudolph.
Stop calling me Rudolph.
Oh, boy. I can't wait to tell the others about this.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. The news about Diesel's real name spread like wildfire. As he was passing Cowan, the three big engines decided to sing a little tune.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer
had a very shiny nose.
And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows.
Is it too late now to get transferred?
Say, where is Rudolph at?
That is a good question.
Wait, if Rudolph's not there with you, where is he?
Why me? I try to be nice. Excuse me, what are you doing in my shed? Sorry, Toby. I needed a place to hide. From what? The others found out about my real name. Wait, that was actually real? Oh, come on. You know what, Diesel? I have a little story to tell you. Oh, joy. Back in the old days of my railway, me and my brothers and sisters were just receiving our names. One of my sisters was called Anna, my two brothers were called Drake and Josh, and there was one that was gonna receive his name, but back then he was called 77821. He would always boast about getting his new name, but then when he received his name, let's say he got a new tone. What was his name? He was called Gronk. How is that bad? Well, it's because he crashed into a place called Gronk City. I see. Well, Toby, I'm off. Remember, embrace your Rudolph. Oh, I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that. Now what to do with this balloon?
You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You had a reminder, Gordon, that you were called Galloping Sausage. You, James, were called Rusty Red Scrap Iron. And you, Hen, where do I begin with you? The next time you see Diesel, tell him that you're sorry.
Well, I'm here. We're sorry.
That's better now, Diesel. You call me if they get too rowdy again.
Thanks, Emily.
There's an important call for Mr. Rudolph.
Ah, that's me.
The call came from Vickerstown. It's from Duck. He said it's urgent.
Okay. What did you call me for, Duck?
To say goodbye, of course.
Goodbye? You're leaving? Oh, happy days.
No, not me, your friend.
You know, that makes sense.
You know, Rudolph, seeing you again made us feel very happy.
We'll be happy to see you again.
No, you won't.
Eh?
Raise the bridge. Now come on, Duck. Let's go and do some shunting.
Okay.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose. And if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other...
Hey, Daisy, I got your present.
Oh, Doc, you got me a present? You shouldn't have. And what? Tequila! Oh, thank you, Doc. I love tequila.